Cash Patel. General Michael Flynn rushed in to aid Trump. Do you know what just happened? It all has to do with this headline. Because what if I told you the President of the United States is not the most powerful man in the country? Oh, I can see it in the comments now. That's not true. Well, are you sure? Because what has now been disclosed, what just happened, maybe it shows you elections don't control policy. And peace is punished like a crime. And I'm going to put it all together for you because this isn't fiction anymore. It's what now several American top insiders are screaming from the rooftops. The question remains, is anyone listening? Or are they just too consumed with the Musk-Trump battle? Remember this from President Trump. He shall take all appropriate action to review the activities of the intelligence community over the last 4 years. But what intelligence agency have you heard the least about? The CIA. And it plays right into the story in Lindsey Graham's visit. Who gave Ukraine the intelligence to pull off this attack against Russia? What did this provoke? Well, we saw what it provoked, didn't we? Just watch this clip here. As Russia strikes back, you'll see the cruise missiles just dropping out of the sky, huh? It appears they're getting what they want now in an eerie, reminiscent scene of what happened at JFK. Because General Flynn was rushed in too, who just gave his own warning to President Trump and said, if you don't do this now, the end result isn't something any of us ever want to see. And that's the story I'm going to bring you here in 1 minute.
They had always been looking for Fauci's original phone, or not original, but phones and devices he used while he was Fauci back in Trump 1 during COVID. And nobody had found it till 2 days ago.
Uh-oh. Now he declares, we don't know if they've been wiped yet. We're analyzing them. I know everybody wants action, and that's fine. We need action. But at least they found the phones. They found the hard drives. And now let's see what comes out of it. Because this is all about intelligence, isn't it? CIA controls the president, whistleblower warns. Oh, it's not that the president is a puppet. Not President Trump. He is not a puppet to the CIA. Let me get that very clear. But can you control a president through other actions? And Flynn and Patel rushed to Trump's side. And the whistleblower statement and Tucker Carlson will tell you exactly what may now be happening in the background that may render Trump's presidency ineffective. Man, it is a bombshell revealed today. I'll put it all together and how it all links back. Remember, history repeats itself. And if you understood what happened to JFK, you will understand what could happen to President Trump. But don't worry, because General Flynn told him what he needs to do to stop it. But will he listen? Is America listening? We'll find out in just a few seconds. I got a question for you. You see that button below that says subscribe? I'd love you to do that for Lisa today. Make sure if you think you're subscribed, you still are. She'll also put a link to my channel just above. Love you to click on it. That channel continues to grow and accelerate as people seem to like black and white news. And we thank you for all your support. We also want to thank Noble Gold Investments, the sponsor of this video. And my question is this: have you been to lisahavengold.com? Or have you called 877-646-5347 and tell them Lisa sent you? And why? Because retirement statements are out now. And for many, boy, absolute shock, huh? Some accounts down 20%, but gold was up 30% last quarter. That's a 60% swing, folks. In retirement, that matters, as you all well know. Compare your Q1 statements to gold's performance. And then go to lisahavengold.com. They'll help protect what you've earned and get your finances back on track. Open a qualified account right now and get this amazing gift from Noble Gold. A free 10-ounce silver American flag bar with every qualified account. So right now I want you to go to lisahavengold.com. And remember, there's always a risk to investing. No guarantees, but if anyone could see you through that risk, it is Noble Gold at lisahavengold.com. Get there right now. But now let's get back to the story. So Kash Patel in that Joe Rogan interview had a lot to say. And remember, this is all about intelligence. This is all about the whistleblower coming out and saying the CIA controls the president. So we got to understand the intelligence apparatus more. There is no better storyline of how the intelligence community was politicized than the Hunter Biden laptop, who the FBI now knew, we know, absolutely knew it was authentic. Absolutely knew. And so Patel comes out and says, normally when you want to release information like that, it is a lengthy process, weeks if not months to get it released. It's just the way the intelligence apparatus works, except for when
we're on the eve of an election. The 51 Intel letter was written by these same people. And the person that has to authorize that is the director of the CIA before it goes public. Do you know how long she took to authorize the release of the letter? 8 hours. 8 hours.
Of course, right? Makes perfect sense. Let's get that out, and let's get that out now. Oh, but he doesn't stop there. Because when you say something against them, what happens to you?
And they continue to do it. Shit, my house just got swatted yesterday.
What?
Yeah, but...
You got swatted?
Oh, yeah.
The head of the FBI gets swatted?
Oh, you heard him right. The head of the FBI gets swatted. So now this brings us full circle to the Tucker Carlson interview. Before we get to Flynn, ex-CIA officer John Kirikow, I believe I pronounced that correctly, sits down with Tucker Carlson, breaks down his time in the agency, and explains just how evil and corrupt the establishment really is. But it doesn't stop there.
It doesn't sound like, so if you look at the org chart, the president controls CIA.
Yes.
But you're describing a situation where CIA kind of controls the president.
This is another problem, John states. It's the presidents come and go every 4 years, every 8 years, but that these CIA people, they're there for 25, 30, 35 years. They don't go anywhere. And so if they don't like a president, or if a president orders them to do something that they don't want to do, they just wait because they know they can wait him out, and then he's not going to be president anymore. They can continue on with whatever plan the blob or the establishment wants to implement. Donald Trump took a lot of guff in his first term when he used on a regular basis, that term. I call it the establishment. And I argued from the very beginning that it's always been the establishment. Maybe you don't like the terminology. You don't have to call it, those two words. You can call it the federal bureaucracy. You can call it the state. You can call it the establishment, as I do. But the truth is that it exists. Now, why is this critical? How does this take shape now? I would say by definition, you just described it, the president. By the way, the elected representatives, who are the instrument of the population through which they control their government, are perennial. This is what Tucker Carlson said. They come and go. The people who carry out those orders remain. So over time, they are the ones with power. And how do we know this to be true now?
Do you think, the kind of casual cruelty and violence in the CIA that you describe, I haven't seen any meaningful attempt to stop it.
And what letter agency haven't you heard mentioned very much in news? Well, it's the CIA. Now, Donald Trump put out ending the weaponization of the federal government January 20th, 2025. In it, he states, shall take all appropriate action and review the activities of the intelligence community over the last 4 years, and the CIA wouldn't be immune from that, but have we seen much activity? And this isn't anything new, mind you. This is an age-old issue in this country. You remember JFK's warning, right?
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations.
Okay, so wrap it all in. Why I tell you, don't focus on this Musk-Trump battle. Everything's a diversion. All the world's a stage. Have to remember that. Then General Flynn puts out this op-ed. The establishment is boxing Trump in, pushing U.S. towards final military conflict. We got Patel's warnings. He's being swatted. The CIA prior just releases the Hunter Biden information in the course of 8 hours. Here's our statement against it. It's always Russia, 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 right? And we're living and breathing that right now again. Who's the last person who asked for peace with the Soviet Union? And what end did he meet? I'm going to play the clip for you in a moment. I do not believe that the recent escalation against Russia's strategic bomber fleet was authorized by or coordinated by President Trump. But the intelligence had to come from somewhere, correct? Think Ukraine has it? Rather, it is my view that the establishment is now acting outside the control of the elected leadership of our nation, goes to what the whistleblower just stated on Tucker Carlson. I believe that these persons in our establishment are engaged in a deliberate effort to provoke Russia into a major confrontation with the West, including the United States. That's a big statement, isn't it, from General Flynn? He defines it further. The time is now to take aggressive action against those who abuse their authority as government employees to manipulate the elected leadership of our nation. Trump has already called for peace. He doesn't want war. He wants the war ended. He's been very clear on that. Trump speaks with Putin, says talks to end Ukraine war will begin immediately. That was on February 12th of 2025, before everything, just unravels. Full transcript, President Kennedy's peace speech at American University. Listen in here for 1 minute.
By examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace, towards the Soviet Union, towards the course of the Cold War, and towards freedom and peace here at home. First, examine our attitude towards peace itself. Too many of us think it is impossible. Too many think it is unreal. But that is a dangerous, defeatist belief. It leads to the conclusion that war is inevitable, that mankind is doomed, that we are gripped by forces we cannot control. We need not accept that view. Our problems are man-made. Therefore, they can be solved by man.
That speech on June 10th of 1963. The peace speech at American University, June 10th of 1963. 5 months later, November 22nd, 1963, JFK assassinated. Dangerous to speak of peace, isn't it? Must keep the war machine rolling forward. Back to General Flynn. In 1961, Kennedy found himself manipulated. And by the way, just so you, this isn't old. No, this was just published yesterday. Kennedy found himself manipulated by earlier versions of the establishment forces when they attempted to manipulate him to launch Air Force planes to attack Cuba. Who's trying to push Trump right now? To attack Russia. Who's pushing for Trump to attack Russia? The American establishment is not only a threat to peace, but a threat to the president, he states. Who could be potentially pushing for an ongoing war, I wonder?
Hi. Good to see you. Welcome.
That was 7 days ago. This was 5 days ago. Ukraine's drone attack on Russian warplanes was a serious blow to Kremlin's strategic arsenal. Man, it's amazing how it all fits together, huh? Trump pushes for peace. Let's just go out there real quick. Let's get the thumbs up. And bam, the attack happens on the Russian warplanes. Once President Kennedy realized he was being manipulated and opposed because he sought peace, he removed Alan Dulles as director of Central Intelligence along with several of his other assistants. I urge President Trump to immediately clean house of any in government who had prior knowledge of and or participated in any way in the Ukrainian attack on the Russian Federation's strategic bombers. Well, why would you state that? Trump just said this is not his war. How do we know that he had anything to do with it? Well, if you want to use mainstream media to confirm it, doesn't take a whole lot to verify that the CIA is involved. This on the New York Times. Time and time again, the Biden administration authorized clandestine operations it had previously prohibited. American military advisors were dispatched to Kyiv and later allowed to travel closer to the fighting. Military and CIA officers helped plan and support a campaign of Ukrainian strikes. It's all out there, folks. This isn't a mystery. So who gave Ukraine the intelligence? How the CIA secretly helps Ukraine fight Putin? Who gave Zelensky the coordinates for those bombers? But it beckons a bigger problem. Since Russian and American strategic bombers are generally required by agreement to be visible to satellite surveillance, never before has anyone engaged in an attack on these visible targets. If Russian bombers can be attacked with impunity, well, then so can American bombers. By this action, the Ukrainian government has not just weakened Russia, it has jeopardized America. Thus, those in Ukrainian government who ordered these strikes have made themselves enemies not just of Russia, but they should now be enemies of the United States. So why did Trump now state it's not his war? Because he understands history. And who haven't we heard anything from recently, I wonder? You heard anything from John Ratcliffe recently? You know Trump's pick for CIA director? With all this going on, have we heard a word from John Ratcliffe? Does that strike you as unusual? Let's just type in John, see if he's... Oh, wait, look, the most recent article was 30 days ago. But in all reality, you haven't heard a word in 74 days from John Ratcliffe. Okay, something doesn't smell right to me anymore. So is any of this past the sniff test for you? Today, Ukrainian intelligence reportedly launched 117 attack drones from trucks that have been placed near Russian air bases with amazing intelligence. While Trump is pushing for peace, they're pushing for war. Flynn comes out, rushing to Trump's aid. I urge you to recall all open and covert military and other government personnel from Ukraine. I urge him to have all these personnel removed and interrogated by the FBI or the military. Why don't you say the CIA? He wants them interrogated by the FBI. I wonder. To learn of their possible participation in unauthorized military activity. And on the very bottom, I urge President Trump to also distance himself from demonstrated warmongers in our own government, chief among who is U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, who was just out there shaking hands and kissing babies. CIA whistleblower saying the CIA controls the president. And Kash Patel reminding you of the rules of the establishment.
It's the ultimate height of hypocrisy. They have two sets of rules, one against you and one for them.
So I hope I painted this together for you, showing you all the sources converging, rushing to Trump's aid, because this isn't a conspiracy anymore. It's a confession now. They admitted it. They control the levers. They provoke the wars, and they silence the peacekeepers. We've seen it before, and I don't want to see it again. And if Trump is serious about purging them, the time is now. He walked straight into the lion's den, torch in hand, and the question is, does his presidency survive it? The question for you is not who you want to control the country, who does control the country right now? Does the CIA control President Trump? No, of course not. But can they control the events around him to render his presidency all but null and void? Because if you get into a war of superpowers, a war between Russia and the United States, and somehow intelligence ends up to Russia that we provided all the coordinates for those attacks, then what else will Trump be able to focus on? You see how this all works out? This is the real story and why I stay laser focused on the Ukrainian-Russian battle, because you are seeing the establishment in action. And how Lindsey Graham could have the audacity to stand on camera, shake hands, and give a thumbs up to the American people might as well have been a middle finger, because that's what he gave each and every one of us. And why now Kash Patel and Flynn and whistleblowers are coming out and saying, folks, watch the CIA. Because we've always had to. Because we saw the devastating consequences of what happens when you stand against them. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.